Greetings, I'm Rob Chapman.
I'm the captain.
How are you all doing?
How are you today?
We're in England still, in Guildford, and we've got 4 beautiful shining boxes of Practice Joy behind us.
I wanted to do this video because last month Rob and I did a video that we titled the 3 best home use amplifiers for 2017. And
people didn't read the home use thing.
They probably misunderstood. So I chose the amps for that video, and I really wanted them to be like those really, not micro amps like a Blackstar Fly or a Katana Mini, but like
desktop.
Yeah, a desktop amp. You know these kind of things where they've got like little speakers but stereo imaging, and they get all those kind of cool sounds. So that was really what that video was about. And so many people commented, "Oh yeah, but what about
the Katana
or any one of these 4, maybe probably some other ones, or little valve amplifiers, you know." And of course you can use those amplifiers at home if you want to, but they're bigger and bulkier, and they have other uses, and then, you know, so it was
you
like...
You wouldn't put it on a table, would you?
No, so this video, and I think I will explain, if you like, our criteria in more detail. This video, the amp had to be just about loud enough to gig with.
Yes.
And so Rob and I have done
not like, you know, go on tour and properly do it, but like, you know, maybe your first few gigs, village hall, you know, kids bands, sort of, you know, or maybe an adult that's just like taking first steps into playing.
So this is for the one where, you know, your drummer's got a little kit, and you've got a little like 100-watt PA system, and the bass player's got like a 50-watt amplifier. That is that, and you're playing to like 30 or 40 people, or it's just, you know, it's that vibe. It's not Marshall Stack gig. And we set ourselves a budget of about £200. So
for the amp?
Some of these are a little bit over, and some of these are a little bit under, but they're all around about that price.
And then I told Lee he had to play a Chapman. That's the only guitar he could play.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, because obviously every video we do is shameless self-promotion for everything Rob sells.
Well, we both own the guitar company, so...
That is sarcasm, by the way. And...
Then we just chose 4 amps, didn't we?
There were a couple of amplifiers that didn't quite make the cut. Some of there was an ID core from Blackstar that, although it was 40 watts, honestly, it just didn't sound great as you kind of got towards the 40 watts thing. So we sort of thought, and of course, not much again in terms of valve amplifiers. I think we only sell one, like a little 1-watt Blackstar HT1, that great sounding amplifier, perfect for home use, but absolutely couldn't gig with that at all.
It's not entirely strictly a valve amp, actually, Lee, because there's a part of the circuit board that's actually not entirely...
and loads and loads of more expensive amplifiers that, of course, would have made the grade, but... So, that, you know, we were trying to keep this affordable.
I mean, I only had room for 4 amps.
No, we could have had more, but I'm just trying to think what else we... You know, for example, we could have had something like a Marshall MG50, but we decided to go for Code instead. What else could we have had? There wasn't really a Vox that was the right kind of power, so that the louder Voxes seemed to be a bit more money, so didn't quite meet the criteria.
What about like a pod into one of those pedal power amps into like a really affordable 1x12?
Someone's going to say, "Oh, you could just get Positive Grid on your iPad and play it through, you know, your hi-fi." And it's like, I'm sure there's a load of different ways, and of course there's always second-hand stuff and everything. So, but look, these were the 4 that made the cut. So shall we introduce them to them, Rob?
Introduce them, Lee, starting with that orange one.
So, Orange Crush. This is, on paper, the quietest one of the 3.
The Crush.
It is a 35-watt Crush amplifier.
35 watts RMS.
Root mean squared, whatever that means.
Really not very sound.
So, now the Crush has a... the Orange Crush has a... reputation in that it's old school solid state analog power amp technology, and they always go pretty loud. You know, I would say after valve amplification, which is generally the loudest per watt, if you like, sort of good old fashioned analog solid state is typically the second loudest. So although it's only 35 watts, it has the least features of the 3 amplifiers. So it's got a clean and a dirty channel. It's got some reverb in it, but and I would say actually the clean channel is debatable as to whether that's a giggable clean channel.
It's not even debatable. It's not a giggable clean channel.
Fine, but the dirty channel's got plenty.
Which is weird.
It's
the dirty's way louder than the clean.
Yeah, but that's pretty normal on most amps. So that's that one.
Wait, play it.
Oh, you okay?
those smooth, buttery cleans of
Quite pokey,
plastic.
little bit boxy. Again, it's small. It's got the 10-inch speaker. I think it's a 10-inch speaker in there. Even if it is a 12, it's a smaller cabinet. So it maybe doesn't quite have that super nice, lush bottom end.
It's not a very nice, clean sound.
Do you not think so?
No.
I thought it sounded all right.
It sounded a bit plasticky.
Okay, fair enough. And distortion? So there you go.
That sounded really good. And also, it sounded like an orange.
An orange.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. So whether you like or dislike the sound of that amplifier, it is representative of the type of gain sound that orange will go for.
Yes. Now it's the Marshall. Which one is this?
This is the Code 50. Just need to...
Summon the creature.
Can't reach the cable.
That's better, right. Could you
Just
plug
move
that cable into the amp for us,
the one
please?
that says input, please.
Thank you.
So Code 50, really, really, really popular. A little bit above the £200 limit, but not by much. 50 watts. This is Marshall's digital modelling range. So you get the most out of it if you sync it up with an app on your phone or an iPad, so that you can adjust all the presets and stuff. There are hundreds of presets and dozens of effects in here, but we've just got for what
They're all
we've
very
just gone
subtle,
for
aren't they, Lee?
Yeah, we've just gone for like a clean sound and a dirty sound that we like. So. Probably got a bit too much reverb on there, but because it's got that slightly artificial sort of sound. But you like that, do you?
No, I don't dislike it. I don't really like it. I kind of nothing it, but also it is definitely loud enough to gig with.
Yes.
This is a monster.
It is much louder. And it's got
a lot of
much
spank.
nicer bass end. Yeah, to be honest with you, it's funny, isn't it? Because I think we programmed this preset with your guitar, not this guitar.
Oh, yeah.
And now it's a little bit more
Spankage.
spanky.
Yeah.
But if I just
He's got an app on the floor.
I've got an app on the floor here. Can you zoom in on here? I mean, we've done demos of Code before, so you can go and see, but you can kind of see that these are all of the presets. We've just done a couple here, and then you can adjust the amp setting and all the effects and everything. So this is the dirty sound.
Very subtle, as they can
We've
tell.
got tons of gain on there. We didn't have to have that much gain, but we were trying to sort of set them all up to be similar. So that's Code 50. Actually, you know what, weirdly, and again, I never really understand amp pricing sometimes. I guess a lot of the price has got to do with just how many thousands get made on each production run.
Yeah,
But
where they're made.
Code 50 is actually less expensive than the Crush 35.
Which is odd, because are they both made in China?
I think so.
Right, okay.
Yeah. I mean, I reckon Marshall probably just went to the factory and said, yeah, we'll order 10,000 of those, and Orange probably ordered 1,000, and that's why the price difference is different. But the two amps that Rob's going to play before we have a little bit of a jamage is the first one is the Boss Katana 50. That's probably the amp that most of you guys said when we did the home use shootout video that we should have included. And I think I even said in the video, Katana's a brilliant amplifier.
Yeah.
And the only reason I didn't include it was just because it's like 2 or 3 times the size of the amps that we did include in that video.
Yeah.
It's great value. It's under £200. It's got an app that you can use if you want to get into some of the deeper editing of the effects, but it's really not an amp that feels like you need to use the app. You know, in fact, I suspect most people wouldn't.
I don't. I've got one at home, and I've got the Tuba 12 one, and I use it without an app. It's WYSIWYG. What you see is what you get. Turn the knob, get the sound.
Yeah. So Katana is a great amplifier. It's probably, I don't know actually. I was going to say it's the best selling of the 4. We sell a bucket load of the Marshalls and a bucket load of the Fenders as well, so I don't know which one is. But it's a cool sounding amplifier. So again, we've got two sounds. Do you want the clean or the dirty?
We're starting with the clean sound lead. Here we go.
Cool.
So. For my ears, I prefer the 12-inch to the 10-inch speaker, but sounds nice. Let's crank it.
I think it's fair to say that a 12-inch speaker is synonymous with guitar sound, isn't it? And every time you hear a 10-inch speaker, particularly if it's a 10-inch speaker on its own rather than like a 210, it feels like it's lacking some of that bass end. But
yeah.
great. We're not using any pedals.
Nope.
If you're hearing reverbs...
Just a really cheap guitar.
The reverbs are all built into each different amplifier. Very, very authentic sounding amplifier, the Katana. Right, so let's try the Fender.
Okay, well I can't quite summon the... Joss. Emma. Thank you, Joss. Can you teach me your shred lick one day? Would that be okay? Okay, yeah, that's good. So. Here is the gain sound.
Gain up, because we've only got the gain on like number 2.
Well, okay, now this is the controversial situation with our experimentation earlier on, is that if you gain it any more, it does get a bit fizz-wah.
We had a lot more gain on the Boss. It's just not really fair,
but
is it?
we're on gain 2, but it just does get a bit fizzy. So I'll take it to gain 3, and you'll hear the immediate difference in... Now, if I take it to...
What about 5?
Okay, I'll take it to 5 for you, Lee. So I think now it sounds like a cheap amp.
Really? I
think it sounds fizzy and cheap.
Okay.
But we're going to let the comment section decide. I preferred it with less gain. Just saying, sometimes less gain is better. Let's go clean. Such a gain hugger.
Gain of tones.
That's easily the best clean of the whole lot.
It is.
That's the best gain, that's the best clean. That's the end of the video.
So you had the 2 best amps, did you?
I did.
Yeah, I mean, to be totally honest with you, the conclusions are a little bit like we had in that best home use amp one, where different things about different amps appeal. So, in terms of power and features, the Marshall comes off very well, particularly that you can Bluetooth stream music to it, which we didn't really talk about. You've got hundreds of presets and stuff you can change. The Boss has an analog gain stage, and so has that very organic, authentic sounding driven sound. The Fender has a great clean sound, as you'd almost expect.
I like the orange gain sound.
Is like an orange, isn't it?
I think the orange and the Fender would be a really good combo if you had an ABY
Well,
and you went to that for the gains and that for the cleans.
Well, I think what we should try and do is mix it up and jam a bit now. So I'll switch between plugging into these 2 amps. You switch between plugging into those 2 amps, and we'll do like a more rocky, gainy. What's the tune that we always jam to, and I always never forget the name.
It's called White Rose.
White Rose.
So I discovered that doesn't roll off nicely at all. So if I'm playing... It's just got that glassy brittleness on top.
The worst one for roll-off, in fairness, is the Marshall.
Yeah,
and that's not entirely... the fault is that it has a noise gate built into it. Let me show you what the noise gate does. So, am I plugged in? Right, so here's the Marshall. If I take the noise gate off, and what happens is there's obviously a lot of background noise on that distortion sound. So if I have the noise gate on, but I play, it's fine, because the amp or the software completely understands what's a guitar and what's background noise.
Yeah.
If I start going, I'll just take the volume right down and try and be subtle.
Give it a little bit more.
The software can't distinguish between what's the background noise and what's the guitar. Big failing, to be honest with you, on lots of digital high gain stuff, because, as I said, the noise gate, it just works like that. I guess ultimately, I could turn the noise gate off and then... And actually, in fairness, the amp then responds much, much better at low volume, to that more subtle stuff.
Just for the audience, tell them what your gain is set to on that particular...
1.5 out of 10. So but it's on a very high gain preamp setting. So I don't know. I mean,
who's your winner, Lee? If you had to do marks out of 10 for each one, what would you do? Bringing it back.
I would probably choose one of your two. I would probably choose if I was looking to buy something, maybe to have some pedals with and stuff like that, I think I'd go Fender, which is crazy because the Fender's the cheapest one as well. It's £149, the Fender. I think if I wanted a bit of a do-everything amplifier, I'd go Katana.
You can get some ridiculously fun sounds out of the Katana. It's got the octave built in and all the delay and reverb, of course. I mean, I did go Katana because I own one, so I did. Actually, I really enjoy the orange gain, and since I mostly play with a high kind of gain sound, I probably, just for fun, would go for the Crush and put a filthy SG through it or something. And just...
It is funny, again...
Because I know that takes pedals well, as well.
Does it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I certainly... It's difficult, isn't it? If you actually had to gig with it as well, there is some element that says, because the Marshall is definitely the loudest one of the four, and, you know, it's the biggest cabinet, so it seems to have like this big fat bass end, I might, again, even persevere and just go... I think with all these digital amplifiers, same with Fender Mustang GT, it's just an amp that you've literally just got to sit and tweak and tweak and tweak and tweak until you go, yeah, that's the sound. And the other three, the Orange, the Boss and the Fender, they just don't suffer from that option paralysis.
No, I mean, the easiest to use are the other three.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. There you go.
But yeah, so just to recap, as I said, this is about trying to find 4 amplifiers that are affordable. So, as I said, our dearest one, I think, is the Orange at about $220. The cheapest one is the Fender at $150.
Orange is all analog, isn't it?
Yeah, apart from the reverb, digital reverb.
Oh, okay. So it's the most analog one here.
Yeah. The Fender and the Boss feel to me kind of like similar. I think they've got a sort of a mix of solid state and sort of digital elements to them. And then the Marshall is all digital. Digital. Cool. So there you go. Look,
we hope you enjoyed that video presentation.
Next in our amp shootout thing, I guess the other one that we could do is we'll probably do home use valve amps.
And then we've got to do cheapest valve amp to gig with.
Yeah, we could do cheapest. So home use valve amps, I think, where we'll get like a Blackstar HT5, a Marshall DSL5, you know, all the kind of little 5-watt thingies. And the other thing which I think a lot of you guys felt we should have had in that small amp video, but honestly, trust me, it's really not in the same league as the amps that we used, is the little Boss Katana Mini. The Katana Mini, which is £89, is literally about this big, and it's pretty amazing for what it is, but it's absolutely not something that you want instead of a THR10 or Adio or anything like that. So what we might do though is get something like a Blackstar Fly,
the Marshall Mini belt buckle job.
Yeah, maybe, or maybe even just one of the very small little 10-watt Marshall mains amps or something. Just something so they're all in around that sort of £50 to £100 bracket. You know what would be useful is if in the comments section below you say to us, give us some guidelines for actual useful shootouts.
Yes, please. There you go. Those. I've been Rob Chappers.
Yeah, I've been the Captain.
See you later.
Bye. Oh, buy some new lens now. Right. Hey everybody, thanks for watching the Anderton's Guitar YouTube channel. If you're a drummer or a keyboard player or interested in music technology, you might find one of our other channels interesting, and I'll put details of those in the description below. If you want to find out more about the products we've just featured, please click here. If you'd like to buy a t-shirt like this, please click here. If you want to watch another video on our guitar channel, click down here. And to subscribe to our guitar channel, click here. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.